Don't be tough as nails. Everybody else following the law. You better run if the cops get caught. Cause you're an outlaw like Johnny Cash. They talk shit, you're gonna whoop their ass. Shot a drag deep, leave the whole bottle. You know we live life full.
Welcome everyone back to the Tailgate Country Podcast. We're doing something a little bit different today. Hunter, how are you doing today? Are you excited to review Parker McCollum's Gold Chain Cowboy album?
I'm doing awesome, and yeah, I'm really excited to give this a good review.
Yeah, maybe. No spoilers. Maybe. No spoilers from me, but I'm also really excited to be getting our video going, which is great. Hopefully everyone kind of likes this format that we're doing. We're recording this on Sunday, but everyone listening is gonna be hearing about this on Monday. Maybe we'll do more of these in the future if it goes well.
Yeah, hopefully we'll put out a little bit of video content on maybe some TikToks or.
Oh yeah, on the talk.
Yeah, that's what all the cool kids are doing these days.
Oh man, but let's just get on into it here. I mean, first of all, who's writing these songs? Who's producing it? Hunter, I feel like you're the resident, know-how guy on that.
Yeah, let me. I'm pulling it up, but it was John Randall produced most of the album, which he's a pretty well-known producer. He's produced, I believe, a lot of Miranda Lambert, quite a few other pretty big artists. So I think Parker got a pretty good producer on this one.
Yeah, I'd say so. And you swiftly corrected me when I don't want to jump ahead. We'll do the first impressions, but my first impression was that Nashville, and I quote, got their grubby hands all over Parker's album here. But you were swift to correct me because that's not the case. So
No.
Who are some of these writers on here?
So, I mean, Parker wrote a lot of the songs, but then, several songs are written with Randy Rogers, John Randall. I think Miranda Lambert's got a cut on here. Let's see, who else? Wade Bowen's got some.
And there's one big one we're missing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, oh, boy. That's okay. So it's Brian Kelly from Florida Georgia Line, previously of Florida Georgia Line. Now the what does he call himself? Like the
Beach Cowboy.
Beach Cowboy, yeah, the Beach Cowboy. But so that's it's the last track, and it's the only one that I looked at the writers on, and so that's why I thought Nashville got, and I quote, their grubby paws all over Parker's work. But that's not the case.
No,
so
not at all.
What were your first takeaways, first impressions of this album?
I mean, I thought it was really good. He continued the sound in some of the songs that he'd put out previously, like Pretty Hard and To Be Loved by You. I think my favorite one is Why Indiana right now.
Interesting. I thought you liked it a bit more than that at first. Maybe not. I don't know.
No, I really liked it.
Maybe it's because I came at it sideways.
Yeah, I don't think I had any immediate problems with it or anything that I hated about it. What was your first impression of it?
I didn't like it. I'll be honest, I really didn't. So the songs that I did like were the songs I'd already heard, like Pretty Hard. What else came out? Drinking came out beforehand. I think that's a very Parker song. To Be Loved by You, those are great songs. But those ones are already out. So of the new ones that came out, I didn't like them at first. I've mellowed my tone on them because I've come to peace with the fact that this is where Parker's going. And it wasn't a million hands outside, molding, because he used to be, you listen to Limestone Kid, and boy, that's not this.
No.
For the most part.
And I think that has to do with him being in Nashville now, but I wouldn't call it Nashville has his grubby little hands all over him. I think he's just evolved his sound and grown as he's grown as an artist, because I think Limestone Kid was his very first record, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you see that with every artist, how they grow and evolve and change with the times, because that record probably came out, 3-4 years ago?
Which one, the Limestone Kid?
Limestone Kid, yeah.
Oh, no, that's 2010.
Really?
I don't know. People are going to be screaming at their phones right now. It's old, old. Parker's been in the game for a while. He used, because he put that one out, and then he put out Probably Wrong, which was 2017. So Probably Wrong is 4 years old now. Limestone Kid, maybe not 2010, but
It came out in
14?
2015.
2015. Okay. Well, 6 years old now. All right.
Yeah, and then Probably Wrong was 2017, and so then it's been 4 years now since that one.
Yeah, and again, once I came to peace with the fact that this is where Parker's taking his own work, like, it was a little bit easier to digest and be like, okay, people aren't messing with it. Now let me think. So now I've come back around, and I like it better. I still don't know if it's definitely not my favorite Parker stuff, but I don't hate it as much, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think I like the Probably Wrong album. A lot of those songs a lot better.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's one of it down here in Texas. That's like one of the pinnacle albums. Like, you know, everyone knows the songs are Probably Wrong. They're still played on the radio. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so after the first impressions, now overall as an album, how do you feel about it once we've had some time to sit on it and listen to it?
I mean, I think it's a pretty like solid album for him to put out. Yeah, I go ahead.
Yeah, you're the lyrics guy, and did you get the story of the song and the overall flow of the album? Did you see anything in there?
One thing I didn't really get from this album, it kind of seems like it's just 10 songs. There's not much story, not much flow to it.
I agree. Especially off the back of the Hollywood Gold EP, which was a actual story from start to finish, which was really cool. Yeah, this one just kind of seemed like he had a bunch of songs, and we know the process. The artists have told us time and time again, they start off with 70 songs, and they have to pick 10 of them to cut, and maybe they cut 15 of them, and from then they keep whittling. And I feel like this was just an example of when he came down to these 10 songs that he liked. It was like, all right, let's throw them together.
Yeah, and I think they could be put in any order on this album, and it wouldn't make a difference.
Right. Did they at least have some sort of common theme? Like, do you feel that there was kind of a theme with them? I didn't think so, personally.
No, I don't think so. It's kind of, like I said, just 10 songs thrown at the wall, basically.
Yeah, right. And do we want to go track by track with this, or do we just kind of want to highlight our favorite and least favorite tracks?
Let's highlight our favorites.
Okay, yeah, let's do the favorite. So which 2 or 3 really stood out to you? Could be the new ones, could be the ones that were already out. Which ones?
I think Why Indiana immediately stood out. It's the kind of why Indiana. It's you don't hear many country songs about Indiana, I guess, and especially coming from a Texas artist.
Yeah.
It's kind of a breakup song. Why move to Indiana when, I think they use San Antonio or something like that in the song.
San Antone.
I'm from Ohio, not Texas, so it's San Antonio up here.
Yeah, well, that one, the Why Indiana, I felt like it was one of the most Parker songs on this album. Like, it felt, that one felt like you could have pulled it from Limestone Kid or Probably Wrong. Yeah, definitely.
And that one's written by 2 of my favorite writers, Eric Dillon and Randy Montana. And then, of course, Parker,
Randy
too.
Montana.
Yeah.
So was there another one that jumped out to you? Maybe not as much. Or as much.
Does it have to be one of the new ones, or can it be an old one?
No, just any of them on here.
I think, Pretty Hearts, you can't go wrong there. I think that's the best song on the album for sure.
Yeah. Well, that one was 2019 he put it out?
Yeah, that came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion, but I wish there was something better than that on here.
As we just said, it's the best song on here, but man, I wish that there. No, I know what you're saying. It definitely seems to be a trend here with artists where, again, we've heard on this podcast before that you have to put content out. So it's instead of waiting 2 or 3 years to put an album out, you have to put these songs out. And then once the album comes around, maybe there's 2 or 3 new ones. But But yeah, I've not been a big fan of the I put this out in 2019 and here it is on my album thing. I'm like, I know I've heard it already.
Right.
But it's a very successful song, and he has to. I feel like it can't just be free floating around in space. Like, it's got to be put somewhere.
Yeah, definitely, and it belongs on an album.
Yeah.
Maybe even the pandemic had something to do with like pushing this album back. So
It could be. Yeah. We don't know that. We'll have to get fingers crossed. Get Parker on here to explain that to us. Yeah, I liked "Wait Outside." It's the first track on there, and I think that one was my favorite of the new ones. Maybe even my favorite of all of them.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the best lyrically written one. I don't think I've heard a song, with those lyrics about, you're gonna get into heaven, but I'm gonna have to wait outside.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique take.
Which, good for you if you can find a new thing to wrap into a song, 'cause that's hard now.
Yeah. But yeah, this one was written by John Randall Parker and Randy Rogers. So
can't go wrong with Randy Rogers. Randy Rogers wrote, maybe even a majority of the ones on here, of at least the new ones.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah, I would say that's might be the only one of the new ones that really jumped out to me. You already mentioned Why Indiana. I do like that one. So I guess we'll go the other end of the spectrum. Did you have any least favorite ones or tracks you thought were kind of weaker than the other ones, in your opinion?
I don't know. There's not really anything that sticks out that I hated or didn't like. Never Loved You at All is just kind of there, I think. I mean, that's the one that Brian Kelly had a...
Boy, did he. Boy, did he have a hand in writing that one.
I mean,
my goodness.
He's written a ton of good songs and a lot more than you'd think.
Sure, but in a blind taste test of this album, which is what I did at first, I didn't look at the writers. That's the one that stood out to me. That's like, this one... And as soon as I saw Brian Kelly, I'm like, of course it is. This sounds... You could have Florida Georgia Line sing this song, or him sing this song, or anybody sing this song. And then, this isn't a let's gang up and hate on them, although I've been doing that for the past 2 years. But it's just... I don't really like when I hear a song and be like, man, any artist could have sang that. And that's how I feel about this one.
It doesn't sound like a Parker McCollum song.
No, good God, no. And you're going to have those, with just about every artist. I didn't like that one. Never Loved You at all. Never loved this song at all. Nah. But also, I probably couldn't tell you right now what Rest of My Life sounds like. Like, could you stand here and like give me the lyrics to that song without looking them up?
Yeah, I can. That one came out before the whole album did. I remember listening to that one like right when it came out, but it was one of those songs that I listened to for a week and then it fell off the playlist. Right.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about, I had to think hard about it. But now that I thought about it, that one is kind of a Parker-ish song, but it's very it's very vanilla.
Yeah, that one does sound like a Parker McCollum song, but not his best.
Yeah, no, definitely not. It's the other not problem. I'm not gonna say there's a problem, but it's a 10-track album, and we've heard. Let's see, To Be Loved by You. We Drinkin' was released before. Was Falling Apart released before?
I don't think so.
We definitely had Pretty Hard and Rest of My Life.
So 4 of the, 6 new songs.
And I think Heart Like Mine too. I think one of these other tracks was also released. I think we got half the album ahead of time. So now you're starting to think about, it's hard to sit down and break down essentially a 5-song EP's worth of new music.
Right.
Especially when 2 of them were kind of like, eh. So there were 3 pretty solid songs on here. We actually haven't even talked about Dallas. That's the one track I think that we haven't even mentioned. It's got Daniel Bradbury.
This one I'm still like trying to figure out the story or the lyrics behind it. I can't tell if it's about actually Dallas or a girl named Dallas or a person named Dallas.
That's interesting. probably left intentionally vague.
Could be, yeah.
I would say.
I was listening to that one this morning, and I had to listen to it like 2 or 3 times, and I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, it's an interestingly written song. It definitely falls a little bit more under that Parker umbrella too, I think, which is good. But I think we got all the non-Parker ones, I don't know, maybe ahead of time. And I don't mean non-Parker. I mean new Parker versus old Parker. And speaking of new Parker versus old Parker, how do you think that this kind of stands up to his other work? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but your official analysis.
I mean, I don't love it as much as the Probably Wrong album, but I still think it's good. It doesn't mean it's bad or anything.
For a while I feel like we were talking about Parker's next record is going to be the one to catapult him, and in that time he signed with Warner and he put out Pretty Heart, which I don't know if it went number 1, but it came pretty dang close, I think. It was on the radio forever.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember.
And To Be Loved by You, I think maybe even currently is still doing some work on the radio. I don't know if it's still climbing charts, but do you think that this is the record that we thought would push him into superstardom, or, is this not quite what'll do it?
I still think it will because he's got the labels behind him. And he's getting radio play outside of Texas now, and quite a lot too, because it seems like every time I get in the car you hear one of his songs on the radio, which is great. I think it's kind of like your typical radio songs, though. Not much substance.
Right, yeah. I agree with that, which actually it's funny that you said that every time you get in the car, you hear it all the time. Here, at least in Fort Worth, he's not. That's why I asked if these songs are still on the radio or whatever, because he's not really on that much. I hear him more on. So we have a radio station down here in Fort Worth, 95.9 The Ranch, and that's my favorite one to listen to because it's a little bit more off the beaten path. It's kind of like Coke FM in Austin. It's not the radio song, so they're still playing Parker's Probably Wrong, and boy, they play probably most of the tracks off that album, and I feel like I hear that one more than the new stuff, but it could also be an example of if you're looking for a red car, you're going to find a bunch of red cars. So I think I'm looking more for those, like when Hell of a Year comes on, I'm like, oh, love that song, that's great, that kind of thing. So
yeah, we only have one country radio station here, and they love Nico Moon and Russell Dickerson.
Boo! This is why we started the podcast in the first place.
But they do play Parker McCollum quite a bit, which is good.
Yeah. But I have to agree with what you said about how they're built for radio, and you'd be that's a good business strategy. Like we're sitting here talking about our personal feelings, but in reality, you don't have to sell out, which Parker's not selling out at all. But I think he's making good business decisions now that he's, in Nashville and getting this national relevance. Like, you kind of have to have those songs that are going to get a bunch of radio play. And then once you get past that maybe growth stage to where he's at a point of like Luke Combs, then you hear Luke Combs starting to put out, Better Together. Like, you think if he put that out 4 years ago, that would have seen the radio? No. And now it's played to death, at least here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and hopefully some of these radio songs will draw people to his older music and other songs on this new album, too. Yeah,
I hope so. But honest question, do you think that someone listening to the radio that hears Pretty Heart or, God forbid, if Never Loved You at All hits the radio, do you think that they're going to go back and listen to High Above the Water or Lonesome 10 Miles or New Orleans and be like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for?
Probably not, because I think nowadays anybody that listens to the radio only listens to music that's on the radio. Like,
that's a good point, yeah.
I don't know. I think this day and age with Bluetooth and Spotify, people would rather listen to that, but then if anyone's listening to the radio, they're probably not going to go to Spotify and look up their other music.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Because, when I'm in the car, I'm listening to Spotify, and I'm listening to what I listen to. So actually, I really couldn't tell you what's played currently on popular radio that much, because I do listen to it. Like if I'm going 5 minutes down the street, to Target or gas station or whatever, I'm going to listen to the radio because I'm not going to set my whole phone up and all that for that. But yeah, that's interesting. That it's a very segmented kind of like you're either listening to the radio and that's all you listen to, or you're not listening to it at all.
Right.
And maybe we're just totally off base on that. Who knows? Again, there's going to be somebody screaming at their phone right now, oh my God, no, I listen to both. And you know what? If you do, great. That's a well-balanced music taste, and I'm happy for you. So then how do you think that this album kind of stacks up to the rest of what's been put out in 2021? As
in other artists?
Everything that's come out this year that you've listened to, where does this kind of sit? Like at the end of the year when the Spotify Wrapped comes out, where do you see some of these songs on there?
I think some of them will probably make it into like the middle to end of my like top 100 songs of the year. I'm sure Pretty Hard will be in there, or To Be Loved by You, but I probably Why Indiana, because I like that one. But I think this song will fall off for me after another couple days or a week.
I think that's a pretty good barometer of how you feel about the album as a whole, and that's
yeah.
And I don't want to say it sucks, and I'm definitely not disappointed. But my expectations for Parker McCollum have just been so high that maybe it's my fault that I might not be enjoying this album as much. I'd have to say myself, Wait Outside will definitely crack the top 100. Might crack top 50, maybe top half of that. But as far as I've been pretty vocal about how I don't think that 2021 has been a very strong showing all around for the stuff that's come out. 2020 was surprisingly amazing with all the music that came out. Like they're probably like 3 or 4 of my favorite songs came out last year. In this year, I just feel like that's not the case. There's still a lot of stuff ahead of us. We still got, Cody Johnson's coming up here. Colby Cooper's put out a pretty great EP that, we could talk about another time. But I think this album stacks up, and that's about it. I don't think it blows out, expectations or is my favorite work of the year, but I also don't think it's lagging behind. And there have definitely been, namely Eric Church's album, where I've been so bitterly disappointed that, I wasn't bitterly disappointed with this at all. I really think that it just kind of falls there. And in the future, when I go to listen to Parker McCollum, say he puts out 2 more albums, will I be listening to this one? Probably not so much.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it just falls in the middle of the pack for music that's come out this year.
Yeah, and I hate to be so vanilla about it, for a podcast here. I feel like people want us to be like, oh my God, this was the greatest album ever. And there's certainly people out there. And if it's your favorite album ever, that's great. I'm super happy for you. And I feel like there's people out there that are like how I was at first, where they're like, Nashville ruined Parker. This isn't old Parker, and I hate to fall in between, but I fall right in between.
Yeah, same here.
Any final thoughts on this?
I guess it's
not the longest, but
yeah, we'll just see how it does with radio, and I don't know.
One quick last kind of final question for you here on this: of the new tracks, which one is the most likely to hit radio and do well, if any?
I think Wait Outside.
Interesting. I would love for that one to be it. I don't know if it would be.
It sounds like a radio song.
Yeah, it definitely does. I have a bad feeling about Never Loved You at all. I just do. I just do.
You never know.
That'll be my hard stance on this album. Is the tracks 1 through 9 are fine. There's some good ones in there, but boy, that last one really is just the bane of my current existence. All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening to our review of Parker McCollum's Gold Chain Cowboy album that just came out kind of recently. If you enjoyed this new format and the video, let us know, because honestly, we kind of had fun getting this set up. We were talking about it all day yesterday, kind of as a, oh man, let's get this right, and then we were showing each other setups. So if you enjoyed this, please let us know. And if you don't already, follow us over on social media at Tailgate Country and at Country Pickins. That's Pickinz. But thanks everyone for listening. Let us know what you thought of the album too. We're two people that think very similarly. So if you have a different opinion, definitely let us know. I'm sure they're out there. But we will see everybody right here. I would say next week, but we'll see you later on in the week with another interview. Great interview coming up. So thanks everyone for listening.